Hello and welcome to the next chapter of The Lost Chapters?
I recognize the question in your tone, but I'm unsure if it's because you don't remember that we're called The Last Chapters now, or if because Welcome to the next chapter of The Lost Chapters doesn't quite make sense.
Exactly. We're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe welcome to the next chapter in the Book of Lost Chapters.
Either way, here we are.
We didn't think this through. I'm Roman and
I'm John,
alright, I'm here to talk about
our Lord and Savior.
all things Warhammer,
Yeah, all things Warhammer. Eventually.
and eventually some Lord of the Rings, because I played a little game of that and it was pretty fun, let me tell you. But before we get into more of the main topic, which we're actually going to be covering some 40k. I know some of y'all thought we weren't going to do 40k at all, but the new Psychic Awakening book, Ritual of the Damned, just dropped, and I want to talk about some Dark Angels, and John wants to talk about some T-Sun stuff. But like I said, before we actually do that, we have two, count them, not one, but two announcements.
Ooh.
That's right. So, the first announcement is that John, and I don't know if I'm included with this, but John is putting together a Red Star Gaming painting competition.
What?
So and the cool thing about it is, before he talks about all the details, I want to let this be known. It's not only Warhammer models; it's any model that you want.
Any tabletop gaming model.
Yeah. So like, if you have like, my case, like old school fantasy stuff, but if you have like bolt action, you have BattleTech, you have Flames of War, you have old historical games. From like
Malifaux, Lord of the Rings.
Malifaux, Lord of the Rings, anything that you want.
Warmahordes.
War Machine, like anything that you want that's a tabletop game, fucking bring it. You can enter it, and that's cool because I know there's certain, like, Warhammer's kind of the biggest thing there is, but like BattleTech miniatures are cool. Like I know there's a lot of like 3D printed that you can 3D print BattleTech things, and they look really cool, to be honest with you. So that didn't Gundam just have, like, don't they have a tabletop game?
Yes, Gundam has a tabletop game. You just play with your model kit Gundams. They have rules that are free to download. I will not give you any information on that because I don't know any information on that, other than you can use your Warhammer terrain and the Gundams that are just collecting dust on your bookshelves.
Yeah, so you fucking weebs out there that love your Gundam. I was never a big Gundam guy.
I fucking love Gundam.
Yeah, it just didn't click for me. I'm not like the big mech thing. Although I like Big O, which apparently everybody else hates. For some reason, I liked it, but I think everybody hates it because it's actually American and it's not like Japanese.
I didn't even know that when I was watching it on Cartoon Network. I just didn't like it.
I think that was the whole big thing that people like hated about it, is that like, it's not a Japanese anime, it's just a fucking American cartoon. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. It was like one of the only fucking mech centric animes that I actually liked. Although I haven't watched that what is it, Evangelion?
Oh yeah, it's not, Evangelion's definitely not for everybody. It's hard to follow.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that it can be weird to understand, especially like with the different movies and how they fit in the timeline, and some shit isn't canon. It's like watching Dragon Ball. And you're kind of like, is this canon? No. Is this movie canon? Yes. Is that one? No. Bio Broly is not canon. Like all that kind of bullshit. But we're not here to talk about anime. We're here to talk about wargaming. So, like we were saying, any miniature that you want. Now, entries, when would the entries be accepted, John?
So, we have the Grimworks PayPal that you can pay through, or you can go ahead and pay at Heroes Retreat, because they are going to be our whole store for this first ever painting competition done by Red Star. So either form of payment is acceptable. It's going to be a $10 entry fee, and 100% of the entry fees is going to be used for prizes, which are going to go out to first, second, and third place.
Ooh, all right.
Let's see, the nitty gritty. So basically, there's going to be 3 judges,
Okay.
with a 4th judge to judge the entries of the judges. So if the judge wants to enter a model, said judge is not judging his own piece.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
It's going to be a point-based system. So 3 judges, let's say there's a model of Horus, right?
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 16, Roman gives it a 14, and Billy Bob gives it a 20.
Goddamn Billy Bob.
Fucking Billy Bob.
Fucking up the curb for everybody.
So those 3 scores will be added together to form the final score of, I don't know because I'm bad at math, but it's 20 plus 14 plus 16. Roman.
20 plus 4. Okay, so that's 30. And then 20, so that's 50.
All right, 50. So Horace gets a final score of 50. And first, second, and third place will take the prizes. Now, we're going to have the whole store for the day of, and please note that I am not 100% sure, but I am more than sure that the date that we agreed with Heroes Retreat is April the 18th. 18th. I'm more than sure that was the date. It's a Saturday. It's the 3rd weekend of April, so you have from the time you hear this until then to get a really good model or what do you call it when you have all the models together? A diorama. Like whatever you want. It could be a diorama, it could be a single model, big model, little model. It could be a 10-man unit on a movement tray.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just your entry is your entry. That's what we're judging, the entire entry.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be judging you on conversions, if there's conversions.
Yeah.
The number of paints that you use, whether it's edge highlighted or zenithal highlighted or shaded or weathered.
Yeah, once me and John are going to work on the actual painting rubric. Once we have that set, we will... I'm unsure if I want to share it online, because then
people will paint according to it.
Or according to it, just to try to max out as much as they can. But we will be making a painting rubric that we will be following. So just know that anything that we see is different. You know, if there is a conversion or if it is a kit bash, like those are 2 different things, and we're gonna make sure that that's done accordingly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited. I have an idea of like a little kit bash. I'm not great at conversions, so I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, I have a pretty cool idea that I've been wanting to do for a while. So I'm thinking about actually starting that pretty soon. But that could always change because I'm a wishy-washy son of a bitch, and I am kind of like a painting butterfly. I kind of just fly by the seat of my ass.
So I want to talk a little bit about my entry.
Yeah.
Just to give more of an in-depth view to our listeners. So my entry is going to be a 40K entry. It's going to be the new Typhus model. Now, what I'm going to try to do is break his arm and have it so that it's pointing into the direction that I want instead of just kind of like up in the air the way it is.
Uh-huh.
Now, by breaking his arm and reforming it, that is considered a conversion.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have his arm pointed at a, what are the new Marines called?
Primaris?
Primaris Marine.
Mm-hmm.
The Primaris Marine is going to have his legs broken so that he's kneeling in the dirt. And Typhus is going to be aiming his spell casting hand at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So the dude's going to be painted blue. But I'm going to do some heavy chipping and rusting.
Mm-hmm.
On this guy to make it look like Typhus is rusting him out with his magic.
Gotcha.
Now that is considered weathering.
Ah.
For those of you who didn't know. And because I am a noob, I am gonna fucking drown Typhus in some fucking what's the brown shade called?
Agrex
Agrex shade, yeah.
I get well. The thing that I'm thinking of now is a 40K model, and there's Samael. He's the leader of the Raven Guard for the Dark Angels. He has a Sable Claw, which they always say is a land speeder, and you see like those little kit bashes of the current land speeder and all that kind of stuff. Well, I was thinking, well, I love 30K, and I would always think like his would be set apart from any other like vehicle, just like his jet bike. Like his jet bike, up until that point, was the only Imperial jet bike. So I kind of think like, oh, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a Javelin attack speeder from 30K, and I'm going, because they only come with either the missile launchers or the las cannons, but the Sable Claw comes with assault cannons. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay. So I'll have to like kind of kit bash that. I don't know if there's going to be any actual converting. There might be, because what I'm planning to do is actually take the Samael model, like, you know, on his jet bike, actually, you know, kit bash him as the driver with his sword out. So I'm going to kind of see how all that works out, but that's my idea. I do weathering. I'm thinking about doing other techniques for weathering, like the hairspray technique that people say. I've been wanting to do that, so I might do that. I'm thinking about a whole lot of stuff with my painting progress, which I have been uploading a few of them to the Lost Chapters. So again, the.last.chapters 0 on Instagram is where we post a whole bunch of stuff, and I post some of my work in progress for models. But yeah, I finally snapped, like, I've gotten like way better in the last 7 years, you know, since we first started. So I'm wanting to see how well I can do in this painting competition. But that's one of my ideas. I have other ideas that aren't fully formed yet, and well, we'll see which one I decide on.
I have only one idea. That's gonna be Typhus.
That's cool. But yeah, so there you go. That's one announcement. You can go ahead. Like I said, it's $10. Sign up at Heroes Retreat, or ask us on Facebook. Either John or myself will get you the Grimworks, and you know, we'll give you the PayPal so that you can just send money there. And again, you have until basically the time that you hear this, until April 18th. And on the 18th, the reason it's on the 18th is not just to judge that. We're also going to have like some games going on. So we're going to reserve the actual store.
Yeah, the whole store is reserved.
Yeah.
All of the entries are going to be placed onto, for those of you who don't, who are not from San Antonio or not familiar with Heroes Retreat. Heroes Retreat has 2 really, really long gaming tables, and 4 smaller gaming tables that only hold one 6x4 map. So basically like 8 8x4 mats are in the store at any given time.
Yeah.
For you to play with, covered in terrain.
Yeah.
And then there's like 5 just regular white folding tables.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna put all the entries onto the white folding tables, and it's gonna be open play on the gaming tables. That way, you know, people are not just sitting there bored while we're judging the entries. So we're just gonna make a whole day of it, and you know, it'll be a couple of hours longer if you want to stay and keep playing games.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. When John told me about this, I was all for it, because I'm more of a hobbyist than a game player. So if you want to just see what people think of your, you know, your painting ability, go ahead and enter. But if you just want to see what everybody else is going to look like, and just stop by. But yeah, that's our first announcement. Our second announcement actually concerns the Alamo GT.
Yeah.
So, everybody knows in San Antonio, and actually there's people out of state that come in as well.
Mm-hmm. Out of town and out of state.
Yeah. So everybody in town, I'm assuming everybody that listens to this is pretty much in town. We don't get many listeners. Concerning the Alamo GT, it is a Friday through Sunday event. We are planning on Friday,
which is going to be May the 15th.
May the 15th. Me and John are actually going to throw a 30K event. which they haven't done a 30K event at Animal GT for a bit. I know the gentleman that was running it before, which he think he was Port Mall, and then he stepped down, so somebody else took over for Port Mall. So there was nobody to run that. Me and John are taking it upon ourselves to kind of see what we're gonna do. The thing that I like of our idea, I have trouble talking for the last week. I don't know what it is. Maybe I haven't interacted with most people, but I've been like mush mouth. But we're going to be doing a team event. So it's going to be a 3v3, 2.5. All right, so 2,005 points. Or
2,500 points.
there you go. I usually say 25. Why did you see again? This is like what's wrong with me. 2,500 points each. So everybody's getting 2,500 points each. We're doing Crusade detachments, so go ahead and do that. You can ally, of course, with that Crusade. But I mean, do whatever the fuck you want within those constraints. It's gonna be loyalist versus traitor, of course. It is going to be more narrative, again, since it's 3v3. But it's going to be 3v3 kind of apocalypse style, so bring whatever the fuck you want, and just have fun. Now, I'd expect for you to not be an asshole and bring like a full knight army. But if you want to bring a full knight army, really can't stop you. So, yeah, just bring whatever the fuck you want. I have my list already ready. I'm trying to get it fully painted because I want fully painted. We'll see how close I get to that. I have a few months.
Now, on the fully painted note, so arrival for the event will start at 4 p.m. What you're gonna do is you're gonna set up your army, and between 4 and 5, while we set everything up, there's gonna be a best painted competition that is player voted. So it's not gonna be a point system. This is again for the Alamo GT, the 30K event. So you're just gonna walk around looking at everybody's army. You decide which one you like best. You write their name down, and we tally it up before the game kicks off at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. So, again, me and John will more than likely be there. Since like probably 10 o'clock in the morning, setting up the tables. So we're gonna make sure that terrain and everything is set up beforehand, so that when you arrive at 4 o'clock, you can go ahead and set up your army, judge it for about an hour, then we get right into playing. Now, it is going to be one game, but there's going to be other events going on at that same time. I believe Jay and Simon are going to be doing Blood Bowl.
Jay is running Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah, I know Simon is doing more than likely. I think Simon is going to be running Blood Bowl.
Do not quote me on this, there may possibly be a co-team event on Friday. It's still up in the air.
Yeah, we're still hammering out a whole bunch of details. So, but when it comes to 30K specifically, we're going to have the 3v3s. Everybody's just gonna honestly just get drunk and fucking play. I'm planning to get hammered, to be honest with you. But there also is going to be the Adeptus Titanicus, the AT event going on. We have some plans of interaction and how that would work. We're still hammering out the details, but just know that just because it's 3v3 and you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff going on, doesn't mean that shit ain't going to get crazy. So there's going to be a whole bunch of fucked up things that are going to happen on that thing.
Now, we are capping this at 24 players. Just because it is the first 30K event that we are officially running.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get things to get too crazy to where we can't keep track of everything and answer questions and stuff like that.
Because me and John are planning to play.
Yes.
But, if there's another person, I will gladly give up my spot and actually run the whole thing. That's not a big deal. The point is to get, 30K, back. Because I know Port Mall is a big thing. And so was Alamo GT. Like it was a big thing for 30K as well. It just just because of what happened there, couldn't keep it up. So we're trying to bring that back and make sure that 30K gets some more representation.
Now, for the game itself, it is going to be, a point system.
Yeah.
So we have a chart for how much each thing is worth, whether it's a troop, a fast attack, a heavy support, or a Lord of War,
Yeah.
or a warlord. So everything's going to be worth a certain amount of kill points.
Mm-hmm.
There will also be 3 objectives per table that are going to be worth points to the people holding it at the end of the game. Those objectives will be right in the middle of each 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
And the Highlander rule is in effect for the entire event because it is a narrative-driven event.
Yeah.
So if somebody is playing Alfarius...
Well, yeah, it's a Highlander named character.
Yeah, Highlander named character. So if somebody in the event's playing Alfarius, that's the only person in the event playing Alfarius.
Yeah.
Because of this, I'm going to be playing Iron Warriors. I will not be using my Primarch to give somebody else the opportunity to go ahead and use Perturabo. I am going to use Gog, though, so sorry.
I'm more than likely gonna be running my Luna Wolves. I will not be running Horus, just so if anybody else has a Horus, even on the trader side, you can go ahead and use that. Which I think there's a couple of Sons of Horus players in town. So if y'all want to join in and y'all want to run Horus, the better for you.
Yeah. So the earlier you sign up and claim your named characters,
the better.
The better.
Yeah. So as
But
soon
don't
as,
be a dick and claim all the named characters in your army.
Yeah. Try to limit it. Again, it's narrative, so it doesn't make sense if you have every named character on your side, just because they wouldn't all participate in the same battle most likely. But yeah, like the whole theme of this is don't be a dick. Just have fun. Like it's honestly gonna be one big narrative event. I'm with John's help because I am not a writer. We'll be writing a little lore behind the name of it. Which do we want to announce the name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's the problem. I only remember part of the name. It's it's the battle for Omida Syndax. So that's the system that we're going to be fighting in. So the Omida Syndax is the system that we'll be kind of playing, and there will be planets that I'll kind of plug and play into things. But yeah, there is going to be a narrative to it, and once it's all said and done with this, I would like for that narrative to affect even like next year's. Whether that's actually going to happen, don't know just yet. I just kind of want to throw that out there as something. I do like kind of an overarching kind of story about things.
Additionally, our friends from Down Under have released the Eldar and the Necrons.
We keep suggesting, we keep talking about them. I should probably get that name correct. But yeah, they have the Eldari, and they have giraffes for Necrons and Orcs. Now the thing is, those are just giraffes. More than welcome to use those, or your 7th edition no detachments or no formations kind of thing.
Yeah, we're opening it up to 7th edition codexes for things that existed in the 30K universe. But again, you have to follow the Crusade attachment, which is the Crusade with the possibility of an ally.
Yeah.
So if you're an Orcs player, you're more than welcome. Orcs have been around forever. If you're Eldar, Dark Eldar, you guys have been around forever.
Yeah.
Necrons, you were asleep, but hey, sometimes, you know...
Yeah, of course. There's been instances of
Necrons waking up. If you are Tyranids, you are welcome to join us. We are going to dub you the Megarachnids.
Yeah.
The only people we are not letting in, basically, is the Tau.
Yeah, they're just too young of a race for the heresy. Even late heresy, they're way they're right around the 40th millennium. I think I have to double check that. But we're opening it up to those 7th edition codexes now. Those let me see if I can find them very quickly on Facebook. I know it's it's the Australis Ultima Sector. That's AUSTRALIS Ultima Sector. Go ahead and join them on Facebook. They have a lot of cool different things. And like I said, those rules, they're not necessarily just in books. Like Austriani is the Eldar. I'm sorry. I said Eldar. That's a new thing. The Austriani book, they actually have a physical book. Now, it is all fan-made. You're more than welcome to use those. They do in their, I believe it's in their... I'm trying to figure out if it's under their files or something. But they do have a Google Doc that has all of the rules that they're working on. So the Austriani, the Orcs, Necrons, the ones that they do have, they're there. They're in a Google Doc, so free. If you just have your Google Drive, go ahead and use that. I have them downloaded on my phone. So again, that's the Australis Ultima Sector. Oh, I think I'm saying it right. Australis, yeah. Go ahead and just like them. They also run the Mournival events. So you can go to the Mournival events page, and they have some stuff there as well. I know that in town, one of our members, Alfarius Omegon, actually started a post on Heresy Resurrection, which is another Facebook group that you should be in if you're in San Antonio. It is a San Antonio Heresy page that me and John started. In there, he was saying that they have the Mournival events kind of rule book, and what that is just extra units that they have tweaked to make them, a lot cooler. I know everybody says regular destroyers aren't great. They kind of put some heavy destroyers that are real fucking cool that I honestly want to use. They have a book. They sold out very quickly, and they're doing a second run of that book. He's already started. Alphas Omegon started a little thread, and I believe there's at the moment 7 of us that are going to be buying that book. I believe they're 55, if I'm not mistaken. But again, join the Heresy Resurrection. You can look for that post and get in on the whole thing so that we can give those Aussies a good chunk of change, and they'll send us those books, because if it's anything like that Austriani book that I bought, it is fantastic quality. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing for 30K. As we go on and get closer to the GT, we'll release more and more kind of info on the thing. We'll talk about our lists and things like that, just so we can all have fun with it.
Now, the event is going to be $30 per person.
Yep.
And part of that will go to venue fees, and the other part is going to go to prize support. Me and Roman get nothing out of this. In fact, we are actually providing the prize for Best Painted.
And it's gonna be a hell of a prize.
Yeah.
It's such a prize that I'm gonna have to buy one for myself. So I'm gonna be losing double money on this. But yeah, it's not about money at all. Like, honestly, it's all just to drum up some more Heresy players. I know that on Facebook, somebody posted a meme that was Jay and Pete, and I think we were actually at that event. It's when I actually worked at Heroes and Fantasies, one of the local comic book shops. It's a meme of them, and it sparked like a whole bunch of like, oh, I remember this, blah blah blah. And I'm trying to push Will. So Will, I know you're one of our 2 listeners, or probably our only listener. Come back to Heresy. You can use your word bearers. Come on, just bring them in. I have no problem with you using 40K models. I ain't give a shit if it's painted. Let's just play some Heresy. If you don't remember 7th edition, I'll walk you through, baby. It ain't even a problem. That's what I do now. I walk people through games. I lose anyway, so it doesn't even matter for me. So, yeah. We will keep the actual prize for Best Painted a secret for right now. We'll reveal that as time goes on, or it might just decide to surprise you at the actual event.
Now, paying for the event, you would go to the same channels as to pay for the regular Alamo GT event, which will be set up by Red Star Gaming.
Yes.
There is a website with a link that is at this moment getting set up or reset up.
Yeah.
So once that comes out, we'll be sure to blast it out across all the pages so that y'all can buy your tickets and claim your named characters for your list.
Yep.
And remember, only 24 spots available, so do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So that's it for 30K. Just remember at the GT, it is also an ITC 40K tournament. So if you're interested in 40K, go right ahead.
That'll be the Saturday, Sunday event, the big event.
Yeah, that's the big event. But yeah, Friday is for all the...
Oh, guys, for those of you who are 40K players, that shit sells out quick.
Yes.
Like, real quick.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
The venue, the St. Joseph's Hall venue, only holds about 50 games at any given time.
Yeah.
I know last year we were able to squeeze in a couple of extra tables.
Yes.
But, guys, we always end up with like 10 people on the waiting list.
Yeah.
So just sign up as quickly as possible. Do not procrastinate like I did. And a few years back and not get to play.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does fill up quick, the 40K event at least.
Yeah, I played the last 7th edition.
Yeah, that was the last
GT.
time I played.
That was the last time I actually played in the GT. Not because I didn't want to play in the 8th edition ones. It's just at that time I had just started a new job and didn't want to call in and do all that dumb shit. But yeah, as of right now, I still won't be just because I'm gonna be judging. I'm gonna be up judge for the actual 40K event. So if anybody has questions and like that, so that's why I'm brushing up on stuff like this.
I am the ringer again.
Yeah.
Talked with David about that.
Yeah.
So anybody that gets the buy and doesn't want to take the free 20 points is going to be playing against me.
Yeah. And I would say I'd do the same, but I'm not. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna be drunk. Because last year I was like, oh, I'm just starting keto. Like I don't want to fuck with that. Now I'm pretty good with my weight, so I'm just gonna get hammered on some liquor. Especially there was some Will had some nice smelling bourbon, I think was what it was. Man, it smelled so good, fucking good. I didn't get any. Like a fucking asshole I am. But yeah, GT is always a lot of fun. And I think that's it for our announcements. All right, so we're gonna jump to the main topic. That took 30 minutes. Anyways, we're gonna jump into the main topic: Psychic Awakening. Now, I'm gonna leave this up to you, John. Do you want to know the lore?
I don't want to spend too much time doing this. Even with the Thousand Suns, I had to throw a lot of shit out. I don't want to eat up a lot of time.
Yeah.
People who want this book will buy this book. So
Yeah.
you're just gonna talk about what you like about it. I'm gonna talk about what I like about the Thousand Suns. Let's not take up an hour.
Just to let you know, if you're buying this for lore specifically, don't do that. It's only about 21 pages of actual lore, and it doesn't expand much more. Just know, fucking, and what was the one where Magnus actually came out on the 7th? What was that one called?
Fuck.
Was it Curse of the Wolfen? No, that was the Space Wolves one. Whichever one that Magnus actually came out in 7th edition, you know that in that one, he actually brought back the fucking Sorcerer's Planet, the Planet of the Sorcerers, out of the fucking warp. He brought it into real space, outside of Prospero. Just know that Prospero is there as well, so they're both orbiting the same star. The Sorcerer Planet is now just it's a fucking chaos world. Everything changes at every fucking given moment. And then Prospero is now he's rebuilding Prospero into something better than even the old masters that he says. Just know that that's cool. They also have one mission in here that's a lore mission. It has a really cool it says Theater of War Demon World, and it's a Demon World chart where at the beginning of each turn you roll a d6 and it gives you some cool rules on there. That's actually really cool. The rest of it, I don't really care about, the stratagems. I'm not a fan of, just stratagems for a specific mission. But the actual table is really cool and can be used in other games for sure. Now, do you want to start off with T-Suns, or do you want me to start with Dark Angels?
No, go ahead and go with Dark Angels.
All right, so with Dark Angels, they basically brought them back. They brought them up to date with the other Space Marine chapters. So they're able to have all of the new Primaris stuff, like everything that was new, they are officially in with the Dark Angels now. They get the Angels of Death special rule, which lets you get the And They Shall Know No Fear, the Bolter Discipline, Shock Assault, and the Combat Doctrines. So, do you know anything about those, John?
No.
Okay, Bolter Discipline we know about. That's the if it's within half of maximum range, if it's infantry and state stationary, or if it's a Terminator, Biker, Dreadnought, they get their rapid fire weapons doubled, basically. Good. And then Shock Assault just means that they get +1 attack no matter what. If they're charging, if they're being charged, if they made a heroic intervention, they just get +1 attack. Combat Doctrines are you turn them on during the beginning of your battle, and you basically go through the Devastator Doctrine, which is heavy and grenade weapons and get their AP bumped up by 1. The Tactical Doctrine gets rapid fire and assault weapons AP up by 1, and the Assault is pistol and melee weapons are up by 1. For it seems like what you'd want to do for Dark Angel specifically is you'd want to turn on Tactical Doctrine as probably as fast as you can, just for the fact that you'll turn all your plasma, which Dark Angels are very good with plasma, into AP4, meaning that you'll pretty much go through almost anybody's armor. There's the actual rule that we get that works better with the Devastator Doctrine, but I'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, probably want to get into Tactical Doctrine as soon as possible. There is Master Lazarus. He's basically Primaris Lieutenant, Captain, whatever. But his melee weapon is +2 strength, AP4, and D3. And if it's a Psyker, he can re-roll the wound and the damage. So that's cool. He also has the Spirit Helm, which anybody within 6, when they're going to take a wound, they just get a Feel No Pain. A 5-up Feel No Pain. Reroll 1s for everybody for hit rolls. That's within 6 of him. And then Intractable Will. What is this? Oh, just when an enemy model is destroyed within 1 inch of an enemy model, immediately fight again. Okay, so they can basically fight again if they're killed and they're within 1 inch of him, I guess. Chaplains. Chaplains now get all of their litanies. Do you know what litanies are? Litanies are, I'm assuming not, because you've been kind of out of the loop. Litanies are prayers that turn on 4+.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The Chaos Space Marines got the same.
Yeah, so they get access to the base 6 that everybody else gets to, and then all of the chaplains, specifically for Dark Angels, I believe. It could be even, what's it called? General, I just don't know. It's the Litany of Hate, so they can reroll hit rolls for attacks with melee weapons that are within 6 inches. So it's not just the first round of combat. It's every time. Here's where she gets stupid, and I mean stupid in a bad way. Asmodai, who is a named character, is pretty much worthless. He doesn't get any. Every chaplain can turn on 1 litany. He's a named character. He should get something else. And the only thing he has differently is the Aura of Dread, which an Interrogator chaplain gets already. So you're paying about 30 points more for Asmodai, and he's not really doing shit. He has the Exemplar of Hate, which is the only thing that sets him apart. Basically, infantry and bikers within 6 inches of him add 1 to the attack's characteristic. That's it. Like, you're paying 30 just to get 1 more attack. I don't know if it's worth it. But really cool. I will be using some more chaplains. I'm not gonna cheese it and do fucking shitty what is it, Dreadnought chaplain that everybody's fucking was trying to cheese at LVO. But yeah, you get access to flip into it. You hear these pages. So like I said, you get everything for the Primaris. You now get Grim Resolve stayed the same. So if you sit still, you can reroll ones. That's army wide, and you'll never lose more than one in the morale phase. So you only lose one. That's cool. That didn't change. Now Relentless Hunt. This is what I was talking about. This is a new special rule. While the Devastator Doctrine is active, the range characteristic of heavy and rapid fire weapons get a 6-inch increase in range, and assault and pistol weapons get a 3. So you're basically turning on during the Devastator Doctrine. You're turning on more range for a majority of your weapons. Okay, it's not. I just don't understand how that kind of works for Dark Angels. Like as like I'm talking about fluff. Like Relentless Hunt, yeah, that's fluffy. That's fucking hella fluffy for them. Adding 6 inches and 3 inches to particular weapons, it's okay, but it doesn't really like help them all that much. Assault weapons only get 3, so I mean what? 27-inch for your plasma, okay? Or no, they're rapid fire, right? Yeah, they're rapid fire, so they would go up to 30 inches. That's cool, but it's still like I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed by that rule. I still would much rather have instead of having a Devastator turn on tactical on turn 2, because that will turn on an extra AP for all of your weapons, for all of your plasma. So I think that's a better way to use that. You have some Warlord traits for your Ravenwing and your Deathwing. For Deathwing, the best one I would say is Inexorable. When resolving an attack made by it against this Warlord, an unmodified wound roll of 1 through 3 always fails. So that's cool. So any wound rolls against your Warlord, if he's Deathwing, will get a 1 through 3. He just negates it outright. So that's probably the best one. For Ravenwing, I kind of like the Implacable Mobility, which negates the penalty for heavy and assault weapons, which means that you can negate with Sammy or with your Talon Master, or your Talon Master, because you can actually take this Warlord trait. You can negate the -1 for your 12 assault cannon shots. So I probably like that better for a Warlord trait. When it comes to stratagems that I like are, of course, the ones that they pretty much showed. The Combined Assault that lets you drop in Deathwing 6 inches from Ravenwing and enemy units to kind of guarantee a better charge. Trying to figure out. I'm probably taking up too much time. Just know that there's some cool stratagems in here. I kind of want to see how they do when it comes to transhuman psychology is a good one, just because it's that it's the same thing for a unit that Warlord gets from the Deathwing. The 1 through 3 on a wound roll just fails a wound. Okay, so transhuman physiology. When a stratagem, use the stratagem when a Dark Angels unit from your army that is not a vehicle or servitor is chosen as a target for the attack until the end of the phase when resolving an attack made against the unit. An unmodified roll of 1 through 3 fails irrespective of any abilities that weapon or model making the attack may have. So you can just make shit more survivable. It is 2 CP, so that kind of that doesn't suck. It's just if you're gonna be burning that on a key, they're gonna be. You gotta check if it's worth it for you.
Not a lot of things are gonna be wounding you on a 2 or a 3. So the things that will, I think it's
good for like what are they? the Deathwing Terminators, and that's the cool thing about it is that like Deathwing Terminators got a huge bump because of just the combined assault and the transhuman physiology. Just because, you know, especially the knights, like the Dark Angel Knights, Deathwing Knights, just because of their maces, it makes them really good. They have storm shields that just, you know, come with them, and I think they're 175 points. I have to double check, but they're 175 points. Like that's it. They're good. So you can take a 10-man, pop 2 to make them more survivable. Use combined assault, so that's already 4 CP though. So with that, you're burning 4 CP to drop them in 6 to make them more survivable. It's kind of tough. One I like, it's just stupid because I love this model. Targeting guidance. Use a stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select one enemy unit within 12 of and visible to a Ravenwing Landspeeder unit from your army until the end of the phase. When resolving an attack made by the friendly Dark Angels unit against that unit, you can reroll the hits. So I always like land speeders. I have 3 of them that I've been aching to use. I'll probably use them now, but there's some cool stuff in here. I just don't want to waste too much time, except for this one, Stand Firm. Deathwing Terminators, when they're chosen, it's 1 CP, which is good. You increase their toughness by 1. So they're toughness 5. So that makes them even more survivable, especially if you're doing transhuman and stand firm. You're wasting 3 CP, but you're going to make sure that they live. They also have the Obscuration Discipline, which is the Phobos pattern librarian thing. Cool, but again, it's psychic stuff. It's whatever. Relics, I honestly don't give a shit about relics, but I'll have to start looking into them. And that's pretty much it. The cool thing is that with this, well, not even with this, with Chapter Approved, they improved a lot of points for them, which means that you can actually do things. Now, the thing that I've been trying to do is, since, you know, CP is the name of the game, right? At the moment, if I can run 2 battalions. I don't know if I can actually run 2 battalions. Because that's either 6 squads of scouts, or in my case it would be 3 scouts and 3 Primaris squads, and I'd have to have 4 different HQs, and even if I go as cheap as possible, cheapest chips, it's still about 1,000 points. Because I think the scout rifles that I have are sniper rifles. I probably should just use a base level scouts if I want to do that. But I just have the sniper rifles and I like them. So they're 85 points. So 85 times 3. What is that? Like 400 and something points? I don't even fucking know. But just know that Dark Angels did get a boost. I don't know how much of a boost, but I am going to be trying it out pretty soon. What about you, John? Because that's pretty much it for Dark Angels. Like I said, there's not a huge amount of Dark Angels fans, Dark Angels players like in town already, so that's why I'm not going like super deep on it. But it's deep enough that I'm like, okay, cool. I can actually bring, because I've always liked to do lists that represent all 3 wings of the, or like the pseudo wings of the Dark Angels. You know, Green Wing, Raven, and Deathwing. I've always liked to run 3. I think they all do something different for the army, and I'm glad that they all got price cuts so they're able to do that. Alright, so Dark Angels only took about 20 minutes or so, so let's see with the Thousand Suns. I'm assuming you're going to cut through a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, I'm going to cut through a lot of things. Okay. I just want to talk about what I am excited for.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about, you know, the weird Thousand Sun, not weird, but the more common Thousand Sun detachments that are being used right now, which is like the 3 Demon Princes or Magnus with a bunch of pink cores and stuff like that. I just want to talk about a pure Thousand Suns army.
Yeah, Marines.
Yeah, just, you know, Rubrique, fucking marching. Mm-hmm. So this actually helps that kind of list.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things is that got added to them is Hateful Assault, which is if this unit makes a charge move, is charged, or performs a heroic intervention, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of models in this unit until the end of turn, which is really big for a unit of Rubrics, which is more focused on shooting and not so much on attacking.
Yeah, it's basically the traitor shock and all.
Yeah. Not to mention that if you're playing against
or shock assault,
if you're playing against Imperium, you still get your Veterans of the Long War.
Yeah. So you get Chew.
Or Death of the False Emperor. I'm sorry.
You're getting it's 6 up extra
sixes,
attack, right?
Yeah. So, obviously with this book, everybody already knows that the cults are back. So I want to talk to you about the 2 that I found to be more interesting.
I wonder if they're the ones that I found interesting.
So first and foremost, Cult of Time.
Yeah, it's the first that I think it's the first one in the book. I don't even remember.
I think the first one is Cult of Prophecy.
Oh, I actually like the Cult of Prophecy. But
so Cult of Time. With each cult, you get 1 extra psychic power that you can choose, which is really big in army like the Thousand Suns. Obviously, there's Smite Spam, and Thousand Suns are really good at that. I particularly don't like Smite Spam. I like having a bunch of different spells I can cast.
Yeah.
So this spell, it's a Warp Charge of 5. It is a range of 6, but because we are Brotherhood of Psykers, it actually becomes range of 12. The user has a lost model revived with all of its wounds restored.
Yeah.
An unmodified roll of 9 or more to manifest this power revives D3 models instead.
Yeah.
The Warlord trait that you can choose if you take the Cult of Time is in your Psychic phase, if your Warlord... if this Warlord casts a power with the result of 9 or more, this Warlord can attempt to manifest 1 additional power that phase. And the relic you can take is the Hourglass of Manat. The first time a model with this relic is destroyed, at the end of the phase, return that model to play with D3 remaining wounds.
Okay.
So obviously this Cult of Time is, reversing time on Fallen Brothers.
Yeah.
I think if you take a 20-man Rubik squad, which comes in at 328 points for a 20-man squad, which is the max that you can take.
It's not bad.
But
you gotta take 3 in a battalion, right?
Yeah.
So that's eating up like
1,000
points.
For this, I would recommend focusing all of this on just one 20-man squad. You keep bringing them back up. You focus your buffs on them with the Bolter Discipline rule.
Yeah.
They're firing more shots. With the new rule, they're attacking more in close combat. And you're just keeping that 20-man alive as long as possible and restoring Marines to it, especially with the new stratagem, Sorcerer's Infusion. Use this stratagem after resolving a psychic power manifested by a Thousand Suns model from your army. If the result of the psychic test for that power was 9 or higher, the model's unit contains any models that have lost any wounds. Select one of those models to regain up to D3 lost wounds. Otherwise, if any models in that unit have been destroyed, you can return one of those models to the battlefield. So, again, you're bringing back dead bodies, and that can be used on your Rubrics or your Terminators.
Yeah.
I know they're not Sekhmet Cabal anymore in 40k. I forgot what they're called.
They are Scarab Occult.
Scarab Occult Terminators. So the other one that I found to be really interesting is the Cult of Magic.
Oh yeah. Not the one I was thinking. I have one in particular that I like.
You were thinking?
But, yeah.
Well,
Go
the thing I like about this one is that it really punishes that aura play style that is more frequent in 8th edition.
Yeah.
You want to hug your character so you can get their abilities. So the psychic power that you can take if you take the Cult of Magic is the Astral Blast. And that is the closest enemy unit within 9 inches, but with Brotherhood of Sorcerers, it becomes 15 inches.
Yeah.
Suffers D3 mortal wounds, and each unit within 3 inches suffers a mortal wound. So that's just kind of punishing that hug the character
Mm-hmm.
play style,
Yeah.
especially in an army that can deal as many mortal wounds as this army can.
Mm-hmm.
The Warlord trait is a devastating sorcery. When this Warlord manifests a psychic power that inflicts one or more mortal wounds on an enemy unit, and increase the mortal wounds inflicted on that unit by 1, which is helping out Astral Blast even more.
Mm-hmm.
And the relic that you can take is the Arcane Focus. When a psychic test is taken for a model with this relic, add 1 to the total, which means you're going to be hitting those 9s that you need for a lot of the Zinj powers to make them go off.
Yeah.
You're going to be hitting Smite. You have a higher chance of hitting that D6 Smite instead of the D3.
Yeah.
So some of the builds that I like are, of course, the 20-man Rubik Squad for 328 points.
Mm-hmm.
The Zangor bomb is still a thing, even
Yeah.
if you only take 1 bomb and you're not devoting too much of your army list to Zangors.
Yeah.
A 30-man Zangor bomb is 255 points.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Zangors do not benefit from any of the psychic powers, warlord traits, or anything like that.
Anything that says that specifies the cult.
Yeah.
The Zangors aren't actually part of the cult.
Yeah.
But they still do fuck shit up.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And one of my favorite builds actually is a 10-man Rubik Squad with 2 flamers to help with Overwatch.
Yeah.
And the Soul Reaper cannon to kind of make up for the shots you're losing with the flamer because of the shorter range.
Mm-hmm.
That one comes in at 194 points for 10 models, which has a lot of shot output.
Yeah.
This really excites me for 1,000 Suns. And like I said before, just because I'm not playing 40k so much doesn't mean I can't play my 30k 1,000 Suns in 40k.
Yeah.
I still have my Helldrakes. Helldrakes are still a fucking force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
So the only difference is my army's going to be red instead of blue. But I am definitely excited to play with the 1,000 Suns out of this new book.
Yeah. The cults that I actually liked were the Cult of Prophecy, and it's only just because of the psychic power. The Warlord trait and the Sorceress Arcana aren't great, but the power is basically a warp charge of 6, and you roll a d6. And until your next psychic phase, you can re-roll. You can use that dice that you rolled as you can sub it for a hit wound, wound hit, advance, or charge. So,
or morale.
Or morale.
So if you roll a 1, there's your morale. If you roll a 6, there's your
charge or whatever you want to do. So that's what I like about it. The Warlord trait is once per turn, the Warlord can fire. When he fires his Overwatch, he can immediately advance 6. I guess that's just kind of to like gum up the works, and they don't actually do a charge. I have no idea how that's supposed to work.
So I was confused by that at first too.
Okay.
Except I realized that after you Overwatch, you can move back.
Gotcha.
6 inches.
Oh, okay, yeah. It says up to 6 inches. That doesn't mean that you have to.
It took me a while to get that. I was like, why would I want to help my opponent get the charge off?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so that became a little better. But they don't get like a suit. They can maybe take a hand flamer, maybe.
Yeah. The sorcerers, not aspiring sorcerers, obviously. Those are sergeants. Fuck, I forgot the name of the sorcerers. The 1,000 Sun specific sorcerers.
Okay.
Anyways, they can take hand pistols.
Okay,
what do you call it? Flamer pistols.
Oh, okay, so he could probably take that and at least get a few shots in with the flamer. Then the Sorcerer's Arcana is units within 6 of a friendly model with this relic. Choose to fight. Choose to shoot or fight with. You can reroll hit rolls of 1. You can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 damage roll. So you can just do that. That's fine. The one that I really liked was Cult of Scheming. Cult of Scheming, the psychic power is Seated Strategy. It's a warp charge of 6. You select the one friendly Cult of Scheming within 24. That unit can shoot and charge this turn, even if it fell back. So, like as we know, they're not great in combat. So if you're losing that combat, if you're stuck in combat still, you can go ahead, cast it on them. They can fall back into movement, or they can fall back. Well, they would have to. Oh, okay. You would fall them back in the movement phase. You would cast it on them. They would shoot, and then they'd be able to attack it. They'd be able to charge in.
I don't think they charge after falling back.
It says this unit can shoot and charge this turn even if it fell back.
So you're basically
yeah,
you're fucking something up with that.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. This is why I like this. Why I really like this though is the actual warlord trait. It's called Grand Schemer. While they are within 3 inches of this warlord, friendly Cult of Scheming units gain the Disciples of Tzeentch ability. But if the unit has the ability, each model in that unit counts as 2 models for the purposes of determining who controls the objective marker.
Nice.
So you're pretty much gonna like outmatch anybody if you have like a 10-man. You're counting as a 20-man. Especially
if you're a 20-man counting as a 40-man.
As a 40-man, you're just gonna keep that unit, especially if it's just like a one kind of objective. Like it's just that one relic, you know what I mean? Like you're just gonna stand on that relic and you ain't gonna give two shits about it. Then the Sorcerous Arcana is I can't even know. Chaquital's theorem, and then once per battle in any phase, you can use the relic. You can use that relic if you do select one stratagem until the end of the phase, or until after the stratagem is used by the model with this relic's controlling player. Reduce the command point cost of the stratagem to 0. So basically, with that relic, once per battle, any phase, you choose a stratagem and it bumps it down by 1. Or actually, it just drops it to 0.
Stratagem.
Yeah, it's just a free stratagem.
So there is a stratagem in the Thousand Suns Codex that I like, but do not use because it costs 3 fucking command points. And nobody uses it because it costs 3 fucking command points. I believe it's called the Scryer's Gaze. And what it does is it lets you pick any point on the battlefield and an additional point 9 inches away from the origin point. And everything within that line drawn between those 2 points takes mortal wounds.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's the Gaze of Tzeentch.
Yeah.
It's the damage output for the 3 command points isn't worth it, but if you're getting it for fucking free, I definitely see that stratagem being used on the battlefield. Yeah.
So the Cult of Scheming was like, oh, that's like exactly what I think of with Tzeentch. Like just like fucking behind the scenes, like I'm gonna just change, this and that's more for the other one. Like I'm gonna change this dice. I'm actually gonna change this. And that one that I like, it's it shows off how tough they are. They're gonna stand on that objective point, and you're not gonna fucking get it. Like you're not. Just
yeah, but I definitely think this book brings back the actual Thousand Suns battalion and not just 3 demon princes or a bunch of pink horrors. Yeah. But I do think you're going to be seeing a lot of double battalion Thousand Sun armies with rubrics across the battlefield, because you're going to want to get 2 of those cults together to kind of manipulate the battlefield and keep control over stuff.
For sure. And that's why I like the 20-man like Thousand Suns doesn't really speak to me. If I were to do it, it'd be 3 10-man squads, just minimum, just so that they could, and one of them is gonna be capping that. You know what I mean? It's gonna be capping that, and it's gonna try to stay alive as best it can. If it can't, another group is gonna fall in right behind them. So that's the cool thing about the book. I do like the book for Tzeentch. I do like the book for the Dark Angels. Especially, I've always bemoaned that, Terminators fucking suck, and I wish they were better. At least Knights are better. I wonder if actual Terminators, depending on the loadout, would be really cool. Especially if it's if you're using that Devastator Doctrine, maybe Terminators with, 42-inch, Typhoon missile launchers would be cool, but I just don't know how useful that is. Like I said, Tactical Doctrine seems to be the best because it adds that AP to your plasma. The problem is that if you are going to do Black Knights, they have become a even bigger threat than they already were, so everybody's just going to shoot them off the table, and that's the point where I'm like, fuck. Now you do have a stratagem that basically lets them do their jinking even if they didn't advance, which is cool. they'll have a 4-up invul. I still think you're gonna fucking like destroy. Like, so the whole thing with it is, if you are gonna take Black Knights, multiple smaller units of them, not one big blob, because that one big blob is just not going to like survive. It's one big target is what it is, and everybody's just gonna shoot it off the table. So it kind of just you're gonna want to make sure that you're diversifying like where those end up. But yeah, just excited that everything's kind of being brought up a bit, especially, you know, I think Dark Angels and Thousand Suns desperately needed it. They were falling behind since they were some of the few. The one that we didn't talk about was Grey Knights, and the reason we did it is because neither one of us have ever played Grey Knights. We have nothing to really speak to that on. Like, you know, if they're actually getting better, I have no idea. They do have Tides of Battle, kind of like the doctrines that affect kind of the psychic power of them. Again, like, I read it and I absorbed it. Didn't know how it was going to affect the army as a whole, unfortunately. Like, if there's anybody that does know Grey Knight specifically, go ahead and, you know, comment down below. Or, you know, if you hit up us on any of our social media, go ahead and do that. But as far as Grey Knights, I have really not much to say on them.
I haven't heard anybody say anything about them either. I think that's an army that needs a lot of work on GW's part.
I mean, it's hard because they don't get Primaris stuff. They're not going to get Primaris stuff. That's not like the fluff behind it. They would never allow it, kind of thing. No, I don't know if they would. They never say never, right? But
I think they did though, didn't they? Didn't they get Primaris?
They do not get access to any Primaris. So I'm gonna double check the rule book as we speak. I was also checking to see if we had any comments or emails. We did not as of this episode, but let me take a look at Grey Knights. Nope, they just get a chaplain. So they're chaplains. They do get stratagems, which again, I don't know how good that would be. They do have their litanies, and they do have their new discipline for them. So things that they can cast and other relics, but they don't get access to any new Primaris stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I should do a little bit deeper dive, maybe next episode, because honestly, the only reason I even picked this up is because Dark Angel. It's the only 40k army that I actually have, so I just needed that, you know, to play. Any other things? I'm not too sure. Well, you'll probably be interested in the next one.
Greater Good.
The Greater Good, because it looks like it's going to be Tau, Death Guard, and IG. So it looks like it's going to be those three in that book, which I thought the IG was actually going to be Mechanicum, but somebody just said, yeah, it's just going to be IG. I was like, okay, cool. So, I mean, 2 armies that you play, basically, are going to be in there. You know, Tau and Death Guard are going to be.
Tau. Woo!
I've liked Tau. I was always saying, like, oh, I'll build a kill team around them, and just, I never did. I never did. I probably won't. Just because I'm learning too many game systems already. I was brushing up on 7th edition, being like, I know I'm fucking forgetting things. Let me do that. And me and John were just at the hookah bar, and I was like, oh shit, like I forgot like all these little interactions that happen, which is, you know, gonna happen when you play 3 different systems, soon to be 4, with, you know, the fantasy battles that I'm planning to do. So it's gonna be like, all right,
add Lord of the Rings,
which games played. I played Lord of the Rings. I believe it's called Battle Company. I'm playing the Rangers of the North, which, if you know Lord of the Rings, that's Aragorn. That's the Dunedain. The Dunedain just means men of the North. They're descendants of the Númenóreans and everybody that defied Sauron during the what is that battle called? I forgot what it's called. But either way, I'm going to be playing them. So the cool thing about that is that talking with Mike Blanton, who's kind of talking up Lord of the Rings. He's actually like spearheading the whole thing. It pretty much covers a wide range of things that I never even knew. Like there's Tom Bombadil and Goldberry. Like if you read the books, you know who those are. If you've only seen the movies, you don't know those characters at all. And I have no idea why they have models, but I'm glad that they have models and rules in the game. There's a lot of like references to the Silmarillion, which is like the first stage of the Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. It's a really cool and deep game. We're starting off with Battle Companies, which is basically Mordheim, from what I've been hearing. They're saying that it's basically Mordheim, which I never played either, but I played a game with kind of subbing my dudes. And the cool thing about the Rangers of the North is every model is a hero. So that means that they get access to basically influencing their role, like a particular role that'll save them. And each one of them has that. Only heroes get that in like the entire game. But since mine are so like elite, they all get that same thing. So I'm like, cool. I max out at 10. So like I start off with 4 and I max out at 10. That's all I get. So looks fun. We're going to be starting off with that. And then I don't know exactly who they ally with. I'm assuming they ally with Gundor because they're part of Gundor. In the like a bigger strategy game, the mass battle game. But apparently even that is like 1,000 points and that's a full game. Like that's like equivalent to a 2,000 point game. Because there's not like a lot of models that you need for those battles, which is super interesting. And since I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I've always wanted to play it, but I can never con John into getting it. Mike Blanton conned John into getting into it, and he conned a whole bunch of other people. Conned is a bad word, but he got people into the actual system, which I'm really excited about because I love that world, and anytime that I can put some love into some of those models, I will do so. Anything else you want to talk about?
I did get to play an introductory game for Jonathan Cruz into 30K. He wanted to try out Thousand Suns, so I brought my Thousand Suns army for him to play with. And we actually have an interview for our listeners, so you can get his perspective on the game.
Yeah.
And again, if anybody wants to do an interview with us, you want to talk about what army you play, what tactics you use, what units, what sides, what weapons.
What doesn't matter what game system, just go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, just let us know, give us a message or a comment. Find us on Red Star Gaming, and we would love to have your voice on the show for our listeners.
Yeah.
So they don't get bored with just us.
Exactly. Now this is a longer episode. It's going to be running at like an hour 20, maybe. Once it's cut down to cut about 5 minutes, but when it comes down to it, there's going to be a longer episode because we're going to tack on. I have to apologize for the interview. I'm not a great interviewer. I'm not a super social person. It's one of the things I'm working on. I'm trying to get better about being more social and talking to people and being a little more open about stuff. So this interview wasn't great because John had to hammer out some other details. So I was talking to Jonathan, who I know, but I didn't play the game with him, so I didn't exactly know what to talk about. So you're gonna find it very awkward. I'll get better at them. I'll make sure to.
I still haven't heard this interview, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be awkward. You're gonna, as the kids like to say, it might be cringy. But either way, you'll listen to that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Laters, dudes. Alright, we're here with Jonathan Cruz. You just played a game with John. You were playing Thousand Suns?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, so he was playing John's army. So they play a little 1250. What are your impressions on Heresy as a whole?
It's very thematic. I do like some aspects of it. Different from 40K, it definitely makes it interesting. Some things I don't like, maybe not being able to choose your powers, but the random aspect definitely is fun.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see like just being a random kind of thing. It being weird, but the way I kind of look at it is more. There's at least a little more variety because it seems in 40K, they have gotten updates, especially like just take Space Marines. They now have a lot more in that department, but it still seems I don't know. There's definitely some problems with it. But what else did you have any other problems with Heresy and kind of transitioning to that?
It was pretty simple transition. Some things are weird just because they are different, but to me it seems easy to pick up.
Okay, and what Legion are you thinking about running on your own?
Right now I'm building towards Talons of the Emperor, trying to get more sister stuff, but definitely going to go with Thousand Suns in the future.
Oh, okay, so you're a filthy traitor. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'm going to play them loyalist, but
I mean, is there really loyalist Thousand Suns? I don't know. Maybe one or two?
depends on when you play them.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, what about... Was there any other problems that you had with the Heresy and as a whole, just the in terms of gameplay? I know you said you had maybe some reservations about the psychic phase, but any other phases kind of throw you off a bit?
Kind of the fact that you have to charge what you shoot and that you can't split fire, but that does make you decide to do certain things. So I do like it in a way. It's not bad, but different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me and John started in 7th edition, so it being we're kind of used to how that worked. But it's cool that in 8th edition that there is, just shoot whatever you want, attack what you want. But yeah, I do like that Heresy makes you think a little bit harder in terms of what are the units that you definitely have to do. I know that before the game started, John kind of helped you out with, like the facing of a Contemptor, kind of things like that. Did you find any troubles with that?
Nah, it's just realizing that is a thing and then being conscious of it.
Okay, cool. Who ended up winning the game?
We called it early, but it was looking like it was going to go in my favor because I swept through combat when I got to it.
Yeah, you were using any of the Kanadi blades or whatever the hell he has?
Started off with 9 of them. I ended up with 2 and still killed like 6 dudes.
Yeah. You know what? I have like I have a certain hate for John's Iron Warrior, or what are they? Iron Warriors, yeah. I have a certain hate for them because as a Lunalos player, I'm very limited in terms of what I can take. I don't have like superpower units. I just kind of have like okay units, and I have to make it into combat. So did you have any troubles with the Iron Warriors?
No, I was able to get the shots off and take out flamers when I needed to, and then Terminator's charge into bolters survived.
Okay, so you're just saying I suck. Is that what you say?
Tactics are different.
Alright, that's cool. So you're thinking about doing Thousand Suns. You have Custodes. Do you know about me and John? Actually, John's talking to David right now, who runs the Alamo GT. Did you know that we are going to have a Heresy event on that Friday?
I did not.
Yeah, we're planning to do a Heresy event. Is kind of, I guess, when this comes out, it'll be the official announcement of it. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a 2-point. Probably we haven't nailed it down specifically, but we're looking for 2,000 to 2.5, and it's going to be a 3v3 apocalypse style gaming. So you get to choose your partners, and if you don't have some when you're signed up, we'll make sure to find something for you. And yeah, it's going to be loyalist versus a trader, and I don't know what I'm going to be, because it depends if the book 9 comes out and I have some Dark Angels rules, then I'm going to be total loyalist, and if I have to, I guess I'll be trader. Do you think you'll have something maybe by the time May rolls around? Do you think you'll have a 2K list up?
Oh, I definitely have a 2K list now with Custodes.
Oh, you did. All right.
But won't have them painted. That's not going to be a thing.
In the greater Heresy community, they do like fully painted. I like fully painted specifically, but Red Star never enforces that, so it doesn't really matter. Just go out and have some fun. Though we are going to be having some very, very, very sweet prizes that are going to go for best painted, so that might entice you to paint a little more. Like, we're talking some A+ tier stuff for best painted for sure. Does that entice you a bit?
A little, but I'm too slow a painter to get 2K.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I've been on vacation for a little bit, and luckily I've had things in various paint stages, so I'm able to kind of, alright, I can knock out like 3 tanks, because most of them were done. I just had to do like a little bit of detail work and stuff like that. So yeah, anything else that you want to say? Is there, now playing Heresy, do you still have a preference towards 8th, or do you think you're going to make a more concerted effort into Heresy?
I'll make an effort to play everything. It's all fun to me.
True. That is very true. You might want to dip your toe back into 8th edition Fantasy, because that's what I'm going to dip my toe in. Just saying, Square Bases are coming back in about 3 years. We can play 8th edition up until then.
Oh, I never played that. I got into it with AOS, but Skaven or Skaven.
That's true. Skaven or Skaven. Damn, I got to get my Skaven painted up. Alright, John. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's it.
Alright, man. But thanks a lot, Jeff.